Hello and welcome to another of my belly dance tutorials on the belly dance basics, and today it is Maya's. Maya's are often known as vertical figure of eight because you're drawing a figure of eight with your hip, and as ever, belly dancer stance, that's gently soft knees, pelvic tuck, proud chest, shoulders down. And to do, we're going to begin with an outside Maya. So to begin, you can do these flat heeled as well, but that's more complicated, so we'll do the heel raised version. So you have your heel raised on your working leg and you're going to push your hip up as high as you can. And now you're going to lean. And as you lean your way into that hip, your heel gently lowers down. And then you do the same with this side. So pick that hip up, push it up as high as you can. And now we're going to lean all the way into that hip. And as you do so, that heel naturally lowers. So your hip comes up and you lean all the way into it. Hip comes up. Notice how your body tilts away from it. So you gradually lower it. So the hip comes up, pushing out and down, up, pushing out and down, up, pushing out and down, up, pushing out and down. So the figure of eight part of it, imagine this is the centre of the cross, is coming up, down, up and down, up, out and down, up, out and down. So as soon as this heel is to the floor, this heel, the opposite heel, comes straight up. That's going to give that little tilt downwards, up, out and down. This heel raises, up, out, and heel lowers. Opposite heel up, out and lower, up, out and lower. And once more I find with all these big hip moves, having your arms out to the side just gives a little more freedom of movement. So this is an outside Maya because the hips are going up and out and down, up, out and down, up, out and down. And it's, as ever, nice for a little slow walk forward. Take your time. It's quite, with travelling with this, because it's quite slow and the weight is so deliberate, it's not too hard. So you take a little, never big steps, a little step forward. Once you've taken your step forward, you push it up, out and lower that heel. Then you take another step forward, up, out and lower. Then you're free to step up, out and lower. Stepping back, up, out and lower, up, out and lower, up, out and lower, up, out and lower, up, out and lower. So what I was doing just there, this is to get you started, so you're just allowing it to come there. To finish off the curve, as you come out, what you want to do is lightly pull that hip down. Use your glutes and pelvic floor to squeeze that hip downwards. So rather than staying out, you're going out and then you're going to slightly contract it inwards. Okay, up, out, contract it inwards, up, out, contract it inwards, up, out, contract it inwards. That's a little bit more challenge, so if you want to start with the beginner version, that's fine. This is also more relevant when you start doing smaller, more narrow, tighter moves, when your legs are much closer together and you're doing a little bit more of a, so it's up, out, and then you squeeze it in, up, out, squeeze it in. Okay, so you'll feel it's much more challenging on those waist muscles. Okay, so an inside Maya is like the opposite, you'll never guess, and get your pelvic tuck. So this time you're going to be starting outwards and then bringing that hip up, sinking the weight down, hip up, sink it back in. Traditionally you should really have this flat heeled, but just for beginners we'll start with the heel raised and then we'll go down into flat foot version. So push that hip up, so all your weight's onto one side. Push that heel up as your body starts travelling over, and then as you come to centre, you release it down. You're pushing out with that hip, push it up. As you shift your weight to centre, release down. Push up, bring the weight to centre, push down, up, and push down, okay? So that's using with your heels, up, in and down, up, in and down. Now the really important thing, and a common mistake, is to let the hip swing back in a horizontal figure of 8, which makes it an entirely different move. You're between two panes of glass. You can only come up, out and down, up and down, but you can't swing forward and back. So the pelvis stays absolutely where it is. It's a completely different set of muscles and move. So try not to let your pelvis swing back in any way. So when we're doing with the high heel raised, up and in, up and in, up and in, up and in. But to do that flat-footed, really, really soft knees to give yourself range of movement. So you're going to tilt one hip up, so all your weight is on one side, and that's enabling that hip to ping up. Then you're going to shift over to the support leg, and as you do so, you're going to push the other hip up, so this knee goes soft, and then you're going to sink all your weight into that and push the hip up, and then sink your weight down into that hip. Now what I like to picture is that I've got some water in the hip scarf, and the water is travelling up, up, up into that hip, and then it's trickling down, 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 up, down, 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 down. And the more softer you can get those knees, just nice and gentle. I'm taking little steps, mini steps. You can stay static. It's just that it feels natural to take diddy steps just because of the shifting of the weight. So really dip that hip down. So a common thing to do when you're learning is to dip and dip and dip and think, why is it not looking? Where's the curve? Where's the figure of 8? And what happens when you do there, you've got to keep pushing that hip up in order before you shift the weight. So you're pushing out, but then you're going to push up to help this hip go down as low as you can. So push that hip up, that hip comes down, that hip comes up, this hip comes down, and dip, and dip, and dip, 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 dip. Shake it out. Well done.